English Day. This is Doksha Hour. I am Maggie Ross, and I am live from Porcupine, South Dakota, where the porcupines roam along Porcupine Creek. How are you guys doing? Hmm. Well, it is March 2nd. Unbelievable. We are in March. I think back about like how time flies, and I get kind of like astonished or flabbergasted or um because it sometimes seems unreal. But I've been going through a lot of like changes this year. And so through my changes, time has flown by. And I was thinking about that yesterday, like how it was the first day of March yesterday, and it was just, a few days ago that we were talking about the what is Phil? Groundhog. About the groundhog, whether he sees his shadow, is spring coming early, is spring coming late, all of those things. And I was so excited, and I was just like deflated because I thought today I would be able to go, because I thought it said March 2nd. I'd be able to go and buy me some chickens, but it's March 5th. Mm, boo. So I was all excited. I had my plans, everything was going to happen, and I was going to get some chicks. Um, so now I said, now I have to March 5th somehow be in Gordon at Baumgart's. I'll be like this with my elbows, hey, trying to make my way for those chickens. Um, I would encourage people to consider doing that. You don't have to get a flock, you don't have to get a whole bunch. You could do one, two, three. Um, Hens will lay eggs no matter what. They don't need a rooster to do that. So if you don't want to get a rooster, like if you can only like some neighborhoods will have rules, right? So if you're in a city, they might say you can't have more than five in your backyard, and maybe you can't have a rooster. And I have a cousin who bought a chicken, and she keeps her chicken in the house. It's a house chicken. I was teasing her about giving it a shower and like doing all this stuff, taking care of it. And so she probably gets 5 eggs a week, because that's what depending on the type of chicken you get, you could get a chicken a day, depending on the chicken. Some chickens will be, they might give you 3 eggs a week. And some chickens will lay extra large eggs and some will lay extra small eggs. So you just have to know what you're looking for. And I was going to show you my book and, kind of read some names. And I shared it with my granddaughter, and I don't know where it went. So Nevaeh did something, put it somewhere important. So, um, so anyways, I would encourage you to do that. Um, when they're small, it gives you time. So you could go and just get a container to keep them in, and you need a heat lamp, and you would need some pine shavings or whatever for the bottom, and then you're going to need some starter feed, and then you would need some um it's a powder that you put into their water to help strengthen their immunization. So that's all you would need to start. You don't need a chicken coop at this point. You just need, and you're gonna have to have them indoors, especially because it's still cold and they're chicks and they'll freeze. So having the ability to do that, and I'm excited because my granddaughters get excited for it. We all get excited to see the chickens, and have them inside and take care of them. Nevaeh's getting a little bit better last year. She'd be getting in there and grabbing the chickens and trying to make them her best friend, all of that. But so she's getting better. This year she should be a little bit better about it. And then you can decide on how you want to do your chicken coop. And Jimmy and I, we got pellets. And when you use pellets, you have to really make sure that you know what kind of pellets you're getting because there's different types of pellets. Some pellets where they will soak them in oil or gas or something, and they stink. But you don't want to use those types. There's types of pellets that are not treated. And so you can, and go to your commod house. Go to your commod house because they have pallets all over. I'm pretty sure of it. I know ours do, and they're free. So you can go, and then you can go on YouTube or you can go on TikTok and you can find out how to build a chicken coop. There's a lot of neat ways in which people built their chicken coops using pellets. So you can do that. Um, so once you get that, then you would need probably a run for your chickens. And so a run is going to be a protected, sheltered area where they can like move around. Some people will and I did, my chickens were all free grazers, but darn, I had the bad luck because I had a bunch of stray cats, of all things, stray tomcats last spring and summer. And then I noticed like after they'd done in all my chickens, and I didn't have chickens, I didn't have these stray cats anymore. So there was that. And so we started it last year, but then we just didn't finish it because all my chickens got done in. And then it was too late. It was too late to be trying to get more chickens and then I was looking online to try to buy some chickens, and this is what happens. Because we are in a egg shortage, to buy one chicken was was too much for me. I couldn't, like, I would need probably, I mean, I want anywhere from five, small order of 5 to 10, but I would like to have about 30 or 40 because I try to feed my community with eggs. I don't like to charge for eggs. I did do that. I think I tried to do that and then I didn't like it. I sold a couple dozen eggs, but I didn't like it. I didn't like selling them. I was just giving them away. And so then I would just tell people, if you bring me some egg cartons, you can take whatever. And then I would just share them in the summertime. I was sharing with different sun dances that were going on. I would send some eggs because anywhere from I would get anywhere from like 20 to 28 eggs a day. And so I there's a lot of people, I have a lot of relatives that live around me, and so that's what I would do. I would try to take care of these eggs and take care of my relatives. So you don't need to do that much. You could, like, even if you're just living in a cluster housing and you put up a fence and you can get like 5 chickens and give them a small run and have eggs. Chickens lay, and you have to, like me, I would be out in the morning, my granddaughters, they'd come out with me, would go collect our eggs. And then we might check in the evening because sometimes, they lay throughout the day. And in the summertime, I try to get it right away so I could get it out of the heat. But anyways, yeah. So that was my big excitement, was thinking that we were going to have eggs, eggs and more eggs and more eggs and more eggs. Hey, but people should think about it um and and buy them. People were like saying, some people said to me like why they don't do it is because of the predators. And again, I mean, there's different things you could watch. A lot of the things that I did was recycled, used recycled goods. It didn't cost me a lot of money to do anything. And I'm really thankful, like Jimmy's a barterer, so he could trade, look around, we need something, someone has it on the swap shop or something. So, we would do it that way. A lot of the things that we have here are like secondhand, and are we bartered, or we just recycled. Um, and so just doing that, like, I think sometimes um that's the overbearing thing that causes us to not do it, is like that's going to cost too much money. I'm not going to be able to do that. And chickens, like, when you feed, like, you start with their starter, and you can get a big bag of that. It's going to cost maybe like $15. And like, if you only have five, if you get five chicks, that starter is going to probably outlast them. You probably aren't going to have to buy another bag. And then when you move up, then you buy a mix. And this is what I do. I do a mix. So I do corn, scratch, um, and then we'll do like a oats and barley kind of mix. Um, and then I put seasoning. I put red pepper flakes and Italian seasoning and cinnamon and garlic. And I dump that all in, and we mix it all up, and it's in a big, like, 5-gallon trash can. And that lasts us quite a while, because also I buy things called worms. They're dried worms. I feed that to them. And then I also feed them scraps food, because they like that. So sometimes I'll even take their eggs, and like, if they're cracked, then I will just fry them up for them and give them back to them. They like watermelon. They like fruits. They really like cabbage. And so those kind of things I will feed to them. They'll eat your corn on the cob, any kind of food you want to throw away before it gets moldy, or like, you're not going to eat it. You give it to them, they're going to eat it for you. They're meat eaters too. Yeah, they'll eat meat too. The chickens are my life now. So yesterday I went up to Eagle Butte, and I participated in a panel. And I want to thank Keepy Radio for inviting me up to participate in a panel. And the panel discussion was on autonomy. Um, as they used, and there were some questions about that, the Great Sioux Nation. Are we autonomous as a Great Sioux Nation? And people didn't like the name Sioux, and we don't, right? Because we know that's not what we are. That's not who we are. Um, but they, just from understanding the organizer, looking at, like, well, that's what they, that's on paper, on federal documents or whatever. That's what the treaty is with the Great Sioux Nation. So, anyways, um, that was that, but it was really a good conversation. And when I was talking, I thought about, autonomy, and autonomy, like, to me, it exists in our homes, in our families. And through the process of assimilation and colonization and assimilation, um, we lost our autonomy, because we look to institutions now, and we say, this is your problem. You need to fix it. You need to be the parent. We say to the schools, you need to be the parent. This is your job. I have to send my kids here, so this is your job to raise my child and teach them values and language and identity and all of this stuff. So that's what we say. And then as parents, we don't have purpose, right? As a parent, we lose our purpose because we give over all our power to the school system. And we do that not because we don't want to be parents. It's because we don't know how to be parents. And we don't have support as parents. We don't have support. We don't, like, there's nobody, truthfully, there's nobody out here helping us identify and practice being parents. So we don't have anybody in our communities talking about strategies or even places where our moms or dads can get together and kind of talk about things. We don't have um, a park, where you could go and sit and your kids play together and stuff. We don't have that. Like in the cluster housings, they'll create these playgrounds, but we just send our kids there. Like there's not even a place for us to like just sit and watch our kids and be a part of our kids and stuff. So we just send them to school. That's because that's where we learned. That's where they bossed us around. That's where they taught us how to do something, whether we liked it or not. And so those things I think we have to really take a big look at. Like what are we doing in our communities and how are we helping? Or are we helping? And sometimes like helping begins even in that first step of helping yourself, helping your family, and then going out and helping others. Like you have to create the sense of safety, security, you have to meet all of those needs yourself before you can have enough self-esteem to go forward and help others and to put yourself out there, and to be about in the sense of Maslow, self-actualizing are transcending. We, even though we're saying, oh, we're Lakota people and we're all this greatness or whatever, we're we're like everybody else. We are human beings, and we learn through failure the same way as everybody else learns. But we are super critical of each other so much that when somebody fails, we're either celebrating that failure or we're being super critical of that person and their failure. And I will say there's times, in my own reflection about that I was like that, super judgmental. Maybe I don't like somebody, so then whenever they mess up, oh, I can really, put it into them. And those are things that I had to tell myself to work on. Like we're all human beings and we're all struggling, and reservation life is rugged. I mean, it's beautiful too, but it's also very rugged. Like, when they talk about the making a diamond, like a rough, to create a diamond, there's all this pressurization on a rock that has to occur, and this rock has to go through quite a bit of stuff before it turns into a diamond, becomes a diamond. That's the same way for us, as human beings. We have to go through some really hard things to become our best self. And so we should think about that. What do we do, or how are we doing that to others? And especially now, because right now life is going to get harder, you know, and we have to, one, do our best to become self-sufficient. So I strongly, like there's in Porcupine we have a nonprofit called Makochi Ag. People should reach out to them. There's also and I don't know what's going to happen with this, but they have the ag extension. So I don't know if that's going to get cut too, but I would reach out to them. They can come and help you. And even like if you're in Porcupine and Manderson area and Kyle, I think, if you got a hold of Chunkawash Day church, they will come and till for you. They'll come till your garden. And he brings a big tractor tiller things. So if you have a fenced in garden, you might have to take your fence down, or you might have to go and ask somebody else. And I think Makoche Ag has some push tillers that they can help with. I believe Thunder Valley. Um, I don't know anymore. Like I might reach out to them, but I can't tell you that I will. But they used to have like tillers where they had an ag thing that they did, so you might be able to reach out to them and ask them. I don't know on the western side of the reservation if any of the church groups over there have um, machines to help with tilling. The tribe, I don't know if the tribe is going to start anything or any of our district cap offices are going to start. You know, we used to have here Dwayne Locke. He used to do that. He used to come out and everybody that had a garden, he would bring the tiller and he would till. I didn't know if I think it was his own tiller too, but he would come out and he would till for people. But people, you know, we have to learn to do this like we were waiting, you know, and it makes me think about when I lived in Evergreen and when we moved out of Evergreen, people were saying you need to move back to Evergreen, you know, like we always looked for you. And once you started spring cleanup, then we all knew it was time and we all got out and we start, you know, cleaning up our yards and getting things ready, you know, like if we could do a small garden or whatever, you know, people would be saying that to me, like, you're not here. So it's like, and I'm just telling them, like, any one of you guys can do it, you know, like any one of you. It's a nice day out, just go out, start picking up the trash all over the place, you know, plant some flowers or some vegetables or whatever, you know, just trying to get people to do that. And in our district, we used to have Janice Richards. And Janice Richards, she was the center director at Porcupine College Center, or Pine Cinte College Center. She was the center director there. And well, she used to be the counselor, and then she became the center director. But every spring, she was so great at community organizing. She would have, you know, cleanup ready to go. She would be organizing through the college. She would be collaborating with others, you know, and walking and all of these different things she would be promoting through the college. And we don't really see that anymore. I haven't seen that since she left OLC. Um, but she used to do great things in our community here in Porcupine. um and you know when you're doing things, you're collaborating and you're leading, and sometimes yeah, everybody, you know, not everybody but people are going to say things, but I'll tell you, I have mad respect for Janice because she did, you know, she's one of those people that walks her talk, you know, she's not just saying it and then doing something else. She's out there, she gets her hands dirty, you know, dirty. She's really compassionate. She cares about the people. And I always wish she would run for tribal council. Even tribal president, you know, or something, you know, because she's just a really good person. And I have mad respect and I love her dearly. Um, Anyway, so there's all these different things that we need to like start firing back up because the only one that's going to save us is ourselves. And that's what we need to know. And we need to be able to mend our bridges. You know, if we burnt bridges, we need to try to go and figure out how we're going to fix some of these bridges because in this trying time, we need to be, we need to help each other. Like sitting and judging and saying things and pointing fingers is just going to isolate you and isolate the person. Yeah, when we get on social media and we just gaslight up people, um, you know, that's harmful. We need to put things aside and we need to start trying to work together because times are hard. I don't know if you guys heard, but yesterday it came out in the news, and I was up in Eagle Butte when this came out. Um, but it says, excuse me. So this comes out of the National Resource Committee, Democrats ranking member Jared Huffman. So he puts this out, and it's Trump Musk plan to shutter interior offices nationwide, devastating local economies and abandoning tribes. Today, U.S. House Natural Resource Committee ranking member Jared Huffman released the following statement regarding the General Services Administration plan to shutter over 2 million square feet of office space used by the Department of the Interior across the country. The federal government exists to serve the people, not abandon them. But Trump and Musk are taking a wrecking ball to our country, slashing staff, cutting vital funding, and creating widespread chaos and economic devastation. Shuttering these physical locations goes hand in glove with Doge's destroy the government approach, and it will make their illegal cuts even more challenging to reverse. The economic fallout will ripple across America, hitting small towns and cities where federal offices are many communities' only lifelines. The impact of the impact on Bureau of Indian Affairs offices will be especially devastating. These offices are already underfunded, understaffed, and stretched beyond capacity, struggling to meet the needs of tribal communities who face systemic barriers to federal resources. Closing these offices will further erode services like public safety, economic development, education, and housing assistance, services that tribal nations rely on for their well-being and self-determination. The National Park Service will lose space for boots on the ground at national monuments and parks they manage, kneecapping their ability to protect public safety and provide recreational access. This is nothing short of a direct attack on working people in the communities they serve. In many places around the country, the federal government keeps local businesses afloat and ensures families have stable jobs. This decision defies all logic, while the Trump administration demands a return to office. GSA is shutting those offices down, eliminating jobs, destabilizing local communities, and gutting essential services. The most vulnerable communities will bear the brunt of this reckless decision. And if they think we'll stand by and watch it happen, they're dead wrong. So this is coming out of um, Jared Huffman. He's a Democrat from California. It's coming from his office. So there will be 164 offices are slated for closure, dramatically reducing the Interior Department's presence across multiple states. 25 BIA offices, over 27% of all BIA locations will be shut down, cutting off essential services for tribal communities and the surrounding rural communities. 60% of the square footage lost is in Republican congressional districts, meaning many communities that depend on federal employment and services will bear the brunt of these cuts. An Office of the Interior Department's Inspector General in Herndon, Virginia, with approximately 100 employees, is set to close. Despite being a cost-effective alternative to the main interior building in Washington, D.C., the closure could signal another attack on the office after Trump fired the department's inspector general. 34 U.S. Geological Survey locations are listed. Many USGS locations need to be field-based to do important monitoring for things like earthquake and volcano activity. They also operate stream gauges that provide critical flood warnings for cities and towns near rivers. 33 National Park Service facilities are listed. The list includes ranger district offices, historic buildings, and museum spaces. The biggest losses in office space for the Department of the Interior include Louisiana, Virginia, Colorado, Maine, Idaho, and Arizona. So, Democratic members of the natural resource facing major office closures again is Colorado, Arizona, California, New Mexico, Oregon, Arizona, I already said that one, Maryland, and then Republican members of the Natural Resource Committee facing major office closures, Arkansas, Utah, Wisconsin, Colorado, Wyoming, Oregon, Utah, Virginia, Idaho, California, Nevada, Minnesota, and Colorado. Lauren Boebert. And so then I clicked on because this article has a a full list. And so I was going through it and I didn't get through all of it, but in South Dakota, there's two BIA facilities that are being affected. One is going to be for BIA anyways. Eagle Butte is to be determined. And then Siston Wapton, Oyate Administration Building, is set to close or scheduled to close on 8/31/2025. Fort Thompson is scheduled to also for 8/31/2025. I think that was all that I had seen for South Dakota. Now, so our tribe, the Oglala Sioux tribe, Rosebud Sioux tribe, have managed to escape any kind of cuts. And I think the Yankton Sioux tribe, Laura Brule, but I think Laura Brule, their office is over there in Crow Creek. And then Standing Rock has managed to escape it as well. So, what does all of this mean? It means that we need to start calling everybody needs to be actively involved in calling people. So you need, like, we should have the telephone, the Mexican telegraph ablaze. We need to be calling our representatives, emailing them. Right now, South Dakota is going to say probably, wow, we managed to fight to save South Dakota. I was talking to one of our senators' office, and I was saying you would think that they would close Aberdeen. And so this is the stuff that we should be looking at. The BIA has regional offices. And so we have the Great Plains Regional Office, and it's in Aberdeen, South Dakota, where I'm sure the majority of Aberdeen people or people working and employed there are probably non-Indian. And so when they're coming directly because I was saying, get rid of the area office because it's just a duplication of services. Or get rid of Washington, D.C.'s headquarter office and put everything in the responsibilities of the regional offices. But the regional office and the headquarter, they're duplication of services, and they suck up the funds that are meant to be for our agencies on reservations and even for IHS for our sites on reservations. The funding gets sucked up in Aberdeen and Washington, D.C. So all those top layers of people are getting paid out before, their budget comes, and then we have to settle for less on the reservation. And the tribe should be fighting for that. Like, why does Sisseton, why does Crow Creek, and why does Cheyenne River have to lose their BIA building? But then again, why, one of the things they're closing is for the law enforcement office. They're gonna do away with the funding for law enforcement on Indian reservations. And so what does that mean? So there's a lot of things that are happening with this funding and with Trump that people need to really come together. And that's why I was saying earlier, like we have to set things aside, we make a decision. Okay, well, we don't like each other today, but for the next 4 years, we're gonna get along. And once we get this all taken care of, then we'll go back to duking it out or whatever. But I was really sad, like, to hear some of the tribal council meeting, the Oglala Sioux tribal council meeting this past week, and the level of aggression that's there. And our leaders really need to be coming together. Um, so this is real, like, this is the test of all test of times. The other thing, like I was saying, being an Eagle, talking about autonomy and being autonomous. Um, Autonomy and autonomous is like about self-determination. Um, some people might say it's about individualism, but it's also about like this concepts of sovereignty, like being in sovereignty, you have to be able to stand, you have to be able to um, do things on your own to prove it. So what are we going to do on our own? And I'm going to tell you this, people, we need to police our own families. We need to start getting after people, telling them to knock it off. Because if we're not going to have law enforcement, we already see what's happening. So we have to do it. We have to like put these boundaries down. They're talking about banishment, banishing people. And a lot of people are, I think there's a lot of questions about it. Like, what does that mean? Is someone getting banished for life? And I think there's some uh I think people might get a little confused about like banishment is like you have to leave. You can't be here. You're not getting disenrolled, but you're being banished. You have to leave. The thing that I'm also very curious about is we're banishing people and they're all up in Rapid City or whatever, and they still have that behavior and have a lot of crime going on up there, and they're banished. And then our tribal council says we have 60% of people, or of all the native people in Rapid City, are Oglala. And so we're going to prioritize that 60% up there and get involved in their health care and get involved in these things when we banish them. And I'm not saying all 60% of those people are banished, but I'm just saying that, and this is Cheyenne River, this is Rosebud Sioux Tribe too, we're banishing people from our reservations, and which then makes them go live in Rapid City. And then we're saying that we gotta go get involved in that because the percentage of the native population up there are our people. But we banish them. So I've been kind of thinking about that, sitting on that. So what does that mean? And one of the other things that I want to challenge tribal council people to think about is how you do your land. Like we should just, if we have to be autonomous, we should maybe just get rid of the BIA. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like if you're not going to be here, we should even be asking. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that we need to like take care of ourselves. And we should have land distribution or land allocation. Um, not for just big ranchers to run cows, but we should be allowing people to, without having all this hesitation, to go live on their land. Not just 2.5 acres, go live on all your land. Take your whole family and go live on your land. Help each other build homes, help each other survive. That's how we're going to get through a lot of this stuff, is by taking charge of our own lives and our own situations. Because that leasing thing just isn't cutting it, right? Like we're not making, even the landowner is not making, a tremendous amount of money off that lease. So let them live on it, and then then you can be in charge of your own life. You can get your chickens if you want to have some, cow or two to feed your family, a buffalo, a garden. People could like make decisions to do co-ops together. Maybe this family's gonna be the potato people, and this family's gonna be the corn people, and this family, like where your priorities are gonna be so that you're able to produce your food. And then we should also be looking at how do we preserve our food? So drying and canning our food. These discussions have been going on for a very long time, and I think that we need to get to it. I know I'm trying, and I'll tell you, we don't have to live in big fancy homes. We don't. And this is I keep talking about this because I don't know why, but it's just been on my mind. The Merriam Report, 1928. They're trying to build these big houses and stuff, and they say the Lakota people, they're outdoors people. Build them things outdoors. That's where they're at. Like we're trying to spend money on, you know, elaborate things. You know, if people will say like we can't go back to living in teepees. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna say one thing. Teepee is a language. It's a word, right? Teepee, and it's describing something as a dwelling that multiple people. It's a dwelling. And so a square house is a teepee. But we, like long time ago, in our people, our ancestors, what they would do is they'd have their home, their dwelling, their teepee. They would have that, and they would live there. And then when their daughter or their son was going to go um, get married and make a life of their own, then they went out and helped them build their house. So what was the house? You had to clean the hides, scrape the hides, do all of that, help them cut cut their poles. And so then they helped them do that so they could have their own autonomy. Mm. And they did that for everybody. Everybody helped each other. That's what I'm saying. So maybe I mean, we might not have enough buffalo to, go back to that kind of thing. But how come we can't enter into like a trade agreement with Canada and say with one of those tribal nations up there and say they have lumber? Maybe we could create a trading system with them and bring the lumber here for the people, and every family can then try, or we use our own lumber to build dwellings. I saw something, maybe I could share it. I saw something on TikTok yesterday, and this just kind of had me um um thinking. And I'm always very impressed by the Palestinian people. Um, share it because it's pretty fascinating.
يا ربي صل على الحبيب صلي عليه صلي فبذكره قلبي يطيب والسعد يحصلي يا ربي حقق مطلبي وشفعته توصلي قد نلت عفوا خالصا يا فرحتي طولي فاز الوجود بوجود نبي نور كده وجودنا يا سعدنا يا فرحانا بالمصطفى حبيبنا يا طه دمت شفيعنا غالي على قلوبنا نور النبي محمد هادينا في دروبنا الله 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 عليك الله 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 يا حبيب الله 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 عليك الله 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 يا حبيب الله
يا ما نفسي زور طه الرسول واتملى من ضيه واللي يشوف نور الرسول في الدنيا مين زيه اشرب وانول الخير معاه من حوض من ريو فاعود ذنبي قد مضى والقلب مرضي
الكل زمان كان في الظالم والخلق بيضلوا ولما جه خير الانام بركات كتير حلوا وحمام سلام ويا يا ربي صل على الحبيب
So the thing that they did was they're taking control of their own life. They have that power. And so they're even in their devastation, in their trauma, in their all of this, they still are coming together and they dug their own wow. They did whatever they could to start restoring the things. They're rebuilding. And here's Trump, saying he's going to do it or whatever, but these guys are just doing it on their own. They, the most powerful thing about humanity is that people will help you if you ask. And so people like on TikTok, they get on and they do these initiatives. There's different groups of Palestinian people aligned with other allies they have these GoFundMe initiatives. And so we're going to get water. We're going to get firewood. We're going to get bread, so flour. We're going to do these things. We're trying to build a wow, so this is how much money we're going to need. Mohammed Sirda trying to rebuild his pharmacy so that he could provide medication for his community, things like that they are taking those, and they're not sitting there, people. They're not sitting there saying, I'm waiting for the BIA. I'm waiting for tribal council. You're using my U number. So you owe me money. You need to pay for that. You're using my U number. They're not even doing that. They're not doing that. They're coming together as people and they're saying we need water, so we got to do it because Netanyahu isn't going to give us water. And if Trump comes in here and gives us water, he's going to take our land. So we need to just do this ourselves. And so that's what they're doing. And that's where we need to be, people. We need to get there. We need to go back to our families and we need to work together as relatives. We need to take care of our families. We need to get out of the cluster housing and we need to go back to the land. And tribal council needs to provide us the opportunity and the way to get back to the land. and get rid of the cluster housings, because all the cluster housing does is encourages us to have disconnection. If we go back to and this was a great example during No Dapple, is people went there and then they found each other in ways and groups, and they became family, and they helped each other. And that's what we need to do. We need to return to our families, our family values. We need to put boundaries down and hold our people to that. And if our people don't want it, then they need to go and live on their own, maybe in Rapid City or something, or find a different plot of land, something. But we need to do that. We need to return to our families, because this time is getting hard, and they're saying it's going to be irreversible. And then there's a lot of people screaming around about, like, wow, you guys didn't vote for Kamala, so this is your fault. But it isn't. Even like I was saying this yesterday as well. In tribe, like, people say that voter turnout in tribal elections is very low. So then they grumble, and then they say, if you didn't vote, don't complain. So they add to the apathy. Instead, we don't even look and say, wow, 70% of people, or 67% of the people did not come out to vote. What is going on with that? We know in our own value or culture, our own way of life, that if people don't believe in you, or if they don't support you, they don't support it, they stay home. And so those are some reflections, and those are some things, like tribal council needs to have that conversation with itself. Tribal government needs to have that conversation, and we ourselves need to figure out, like, can we go back? Me, myself, like, my family will say, Maggie, Maggie, you go over there and you do that. Or you go speak about that. Or they might say to one of my brothers, you go over there and you go, you know, or maybe it's my uncle, or maybe it's my auntie, or maybe it's my mom, or maybe it's my sister, or maybe it's my niece or my nephew. And we say, you go over there, you go listen, and you go tell us, come back and tell us, because we're busy over here. And so when we talk about democracy and every vote counts, or whatever that is that they try to sell us with, everybody never showed up. There was always a selection of people who went. There wasn't hundreds of thousands of people that signed that treaty. It was people that were sent to go listen and sign. And so we have to get back to a place where we're respecting family leadership and families altogether. Like, being on tribal council doesn't mean that you're the boss of the world. It doesn't, and not even of the reservation. Like, we need to find a place where we can meet and make decisions, because times are going to start getting hard. And either we're going to make it or we're not. And so we just have to make some decisions based on that. Crazy. It's crazy. But that was a really good event that I went to yesterday. Keepy Radio was the one that hosted it. And I was really pleased or grateful to have been invited to go, because they're trying to start conversations on their reservation about what is autonomy, what are we going to do? Like, one of their things was talking about consent culture. Can we get back to that? And consent culture is basically saying that we are not a rape culture, and talking about colonialism and capitalism and supremacy, white supremacy, and rape culture, and how rape culture is what is used as a weapon of war. And so looking at those things, can we get back to a place in our own society where we have and respect consent? We ask for consent. So reversing all of this stuff that we've gone through. Can we get back there? I said yes. But how it has to happen is in our families. We have to get it back in our families. And we also have to have compassion. We have to have forgiveness, and we have to have love for our relatives. So, anyways, thank you guys for coming along today and joining Doksha Hour. I sure appreciate it. Um, you can do Doksha Hour on YouTube. You can share you or Doksha Hour to any other platform, which is what I really like and appreciate. So you can share it to any of the meta platforms. You can share it to Twitter. You can share it to there's another one called Blue Sky. You can share it there. You can share it to, if you're on Red Note, you can go to Red Note. You can share it there. You can share this anywhere. So that's what I like. And even TikTok, you can make shortened screens or whatever like that and share it out. It's all really interesting things to do. But I want to thank you guys for continuing to join Doksha Hour next week. We will have a special guest, Carl Peterson. He will join us from Cheyenne River. He is a young leader, or young visionary. He ran for office for the state and for tribal government. I think he works at, he currently is employed at Keepy Radio. But anyways, he's gonna come on and we're gonna have a visit about him and what he's doing and his thoughts about things. And I'm looking forward to it. I met Carl when I used to be a teacher at Cheyenne River. So anyways, I want to thank you guys and encourage you to be good relatives and take care of each other and find a place for love. So with that, have a blessed week, and I'll